Well, today is the first day of the new legislative session in Colorado, and state Democrats are coming out swinging, introducing a bill that's already seeing some backlash. Now, the measure is a first of its kind in this country. It attempts to ban the sale of semi-automatic guns with detachable magazines. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon spoke to the bill's sponsor, who says this will save lives. A gun rights group believes it also violates the Second Amendment.
Whenever I was talking with Senator Sullivan about this bill, he was really trying to say that it was about making sure that illegal high-capacity magazines aren't put within weapons.
I mean, that's the excuse that they're using. The goal is to ban the weapons outright.
Of course, Colorado is trying to take your guns. Think about this. We just had a wonderful election. We won everything. We won the House. We won the Senate. We won the White House. Everybody was thinking, yeah, no more gun control. Wrong. It's going right to the state level, and it's starting in Colorado with one of the most egregious laws you can think of, SB 3, which will ban the possession, well, not the possession, the manufacture, sale, and transfer of firearms with detachable magazines. So it's interesting the way that's worded, so I'm wondering if there's going to be a grandfather clause in there or not, that people who already have guns with detachable magazines can keep them, but we'll kind of wait and see. But the long and short of it is they want to stop the transfer, the sale of guns, semi-automatic firearms with detachable magazines, and what they're saying is this will make us safer. This will make the residents of Colorado safer. This will stop mass shootings. Colorado already had a law in place which banned magazines of greater than 15 rounds. That happened after the Aurora shooting back in 2012, 2013. But nobody stopped to think about what the shooter did. He drove past other theaters till he got to a theater that was a gun-free zone. Think about that. It isn't the magazine capacity that makes mass shooters so deadly. It is the time that a mass shooter has to perpetrate his crime. Think about this. The killing continues until the first armed responder arrives on the scene. That's true for just about every mass shooting that we've ever seen, is that the mass shooter has time to perpetrate these heinous acts. It's not about magazine capacity. In fact, if you look at the shooting at Sandy Hook, the shooter there wouldn't, even if they had 5-round magazine capacity, the shooter there didn't fire enough rounds to reach that magazine capacity level that they're saying, well, a smaller magazine would mean he would have killed less people. Not true. He had extra time. He had more time before anybody fought with him about that. We have a really good book at the USCCA called Countering the Mass Shooter Threat that gives a very detailed look at some of the most heinous mass shootings in America. And what it comes down to, mathematically speaking, is that magazine capacity does not impact the number of people who are killed in a mass shooting. It's not about magazine capacity. It is about the time that a mass shooter has on site to perpetrate these crimes. But we're still watching all of these anti-gun politicians blame magazine size, and that's just a red herring. That's just a diversion. They're not talking about banning magazines. They're talking about banning all firearms eventually.
What's going to happen is there's going to be a huge freeze of guns coming to Colorado.
Whenever I was talking with Senator Sullivan about this bill, he was really trying to say that it was about making sure that illegal high-capacity magazines aren't put within weapons.
I mean, that's the excuse that they're using. The goal is to ban the weapons outright.
He believes it's a repackaging of the so-called assault weapons ban killed in committee last year.
When in reality, it's even more extreme than the last two times, the last two go-arounds with this measure.
Think about this. It's been going on since 1934. 1934, that's almost 100 years that they've been trying to ban guns. They do it slowly. It is insidious the way that they're going after this. One piece at a time. Colorado first said, no, you don't need any magazines longer than 15 rounds. Anything greater than 15 rounds, that's bad. That's going to kill more people. When that didn't work, they now decide to say, well, no detachable magazines at all. You can't have any of those. Well, when that doesn't work, then they're going to say, well, no repeating firearms of any sort. And when that doesn't work, they're going to say, well, you know what? Maybe we just need to get rid of all guns. And it's not going to happen overnight. They're just going to keep doing it, keep chipping away at it, because they realize that folks who are in favor of gun ownership, we kind of get tired, we kind of get complacent, and we stop fighting. I think about this all the time. My dad never cared about gun rights. We were shooting all the time. We were out skeet shooting. We had pistols in the house for self-defense. We had all that sort of stuff. He never joined the NRA. He didn't care about gun rights. It wasn't on his radar. And now we're paying the price for that because the anti-gun politicians just keep trying to chip away. And nothing that they're doing is working. And then when they realize that magazine capacity didn't work, or the prohibition of owning pistols didn't work, or whatever else it is that they're trying, when that doesn't work, they don't stop and think about what will work. They just try more firearms prohibition. And yes, we've won at the national level. We've had some great Supreme Court decisions. But you know what? That's just changing the tactics of the anti-gunners. They're now going at the state level. Now, instead of us pro-gun folks just fighting one fight at the national level, now we got to fight 51, 52 more if you count the territories, but all of the states and the District of Columbia, now we have to have individual fights for all of these. And they know that sooner or later we're going to get tired. We're going to run out of money. We're going to stop donating. We're going to stop fighting these just heinous gun control laws. And the crazier that they push forward, now it's no detachable magazines at all in Colorado. This SB 3 is just a crazy bill. They push forward a crazy proposal and then back it off a little bit and say that they've compromised. Well, you know what? It's always been us, the gun owners, who have compromised in 1934, in 1968, in 1986. All of this stuff, we've always compromised. We've always said, well, you know, we'll do that common sense thing like they're talking about. No, it's time to stop that. We need to fight these at every level. Now, this law that they're pushing forward, this SB 3 in Colorado, comes, in reaction to the shooting at Aurora and other things that were happening. And yes, those are terrible, terrible things. And I feel bad for the families who lost loved ones to these rapid mass murderers. But understand that the way to stop these rapid mass murderers is to stop them right at the scene, is to have someone engage them immediately. And when we're doing the research for this book, we found out that it doesn't need to be a police officer. It can be an armed citizen, and the armed citizen doesn't even need to shoot the attacker. A lot of times someone just shows up with a gun in hand and the attacker immediately stops fighting. Now, the argument I hear all the time from anti-gun folks is, you can't just have bullets flying in every direction. Stop and think about that for a minute.
Authorities say they have no doubt that Good Samaritan who stepped in saved lives. They say he was able to stop the shooter in less than 2 minutes.
Currently, in gun-free zones, bullets are flying in just about every direction, except one. There's no bullets flying back at the bad guy who is shooting innocent people trapped in an area that they can't get out of. We need people who are able and willing to engage these horrific murderers immediately. We can't wait for the cops to get there. Usually that's going to be, I mean, in Aurora, it was wonderful response time. They got there in like 2 minutes, but they didn't apprehend the guy for another 7 minutes. So think about that. He had all that time to do all that shooting. His magazine capacity wouldn't have mattered. He could have used a lever action rifle and refilled his tube magazine on the lever action rifle and still killed just as many people because no one was capable of fighting back and he had lots of time to fire his gun. So when we're talking about what can we do to stop mass killers, to stop these rapid mass murderers, the thing that we can do is keep our firearm with us all the time, be well trained, and be able to react when something like this happens. It's not about the hardware that these shooters are using. It's about the situations that they're in. They're in large groups of people who have no means to defend themselves, and the shooter gets all the time he wants to keep shooting at them. And even if we reduce magazine capacity, the fact that they have time allows them to kill more people. We need to be able to engage quickly to stop these shootings. And this SB 3 in Colorado, if this thing passes, it's not going to help anything except it will help the anti-gun forces advance the ball just a little bit more. It is just one more incremental advance on taking away our gun rights, and they're not going to stop. They're not ever going to stop. And once they get all of the evil black guns and semi-automatic guns and guns with detachable magazines, you know what they're coming for then? Your hunting rifle, because you know what that is? That's a military-grade sniper rifle with an optical sight capable of killing a human being from 800 yards away. You think they're not coming for that? That's what they're coming for next. And they don't care how long it takes. They have all the time in the world. If it takes another 50 or 100 years, they're going to push forward until they can take away all the guns. So we need to stop them right now.
Hey, before you go, let me ask you, are you breaking these gun laws without even knowing it? Get a free concealed carry map that reveals the gun laws in your state and the states you might be traveling to. Click the link in the description below to check it out.